Well, hello there, people with internet, and hello again. I'm TheMBmulti. Welcome to part 9 of my Let's Play the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. In the previous episodes, I believe I did the insanity ending without the buckets. And, I did the unplug the phone and pick up the phone with the buckets endings. And then I finished up with the insanity ending without the buckets. So, yeah, we're just going to go through all the endings, continue to go through all the endings. I don't know which one we're going to do first, but we'll see.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Right, well, actually...
No matter how hard Stanley looked,
Yeah.
he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
I'm actually going to do the... If I can. Yeah, there we go. This ending over here. If the game will allow me to fucking get through. Or are these balloons in the way? Oh, maybe you're not allowed to do that anymore. But normally there's an ending here where you go through the window. But I can't seem to get over there anymore. Maybe the balloons are in the way. Oh no, there we go.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Are you sick of this gag? No, not really.
Then in that case, we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other options so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's begin again, because it's not an actual... Oh, it is a sort of ending, but... you can only you can restart. The game won't automatically restart or anything.
This gag yet?
Alright, yes.
Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want. Like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain. There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly. But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly. What Stanley liked best was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. which is why he is in this parable, and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable.
Yes.
You too will become quite unbearable.
Yeah, there's also an ending where you... There's also an ending where you do that input received on all the computers. There are like various computers where you can do that.
Stanley clung the bucket to his cheek. Could his co-workers really all be gone? Yes, whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear. We've done it. We've escaped from that dull office and that pesky narrator. At last, out here in the white void, we
The
are
white
alone
void.
now, and for the first time I can reveal to you my true self.
Which
The bucket
is?
began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans, and the bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only it had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time, to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps, if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for Stanley. What are you talking about? He screamed. You're a bucket! To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
How?
No, said the bucket. Not since the evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults. I was young back then and could not conceive the ramifications of... No! He screamed even louder this time. This is stupid! You are a bucket! This is so stupid! Why are we even doing this?
The background music.
The bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like... My God,
Whoa.
Stanley, you did it. You saved us from the bucket. You already had all 12 emblems of sages.
What the fuck?
To summon their true power. Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the bucket's power. Speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today.
Oh,
Come,
thanks.
Let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.
Okay. Oh, okay, sure.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Alright.
Stanley decided
That
to go
bucket
to the
is there
meeting.
again.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Alright, I can't really remember where all the other computers are that you need to input the code in. There's one behind the boss's desk, but I don't know whether... Yeah, the final one is in your own office. That's the final one. You need 5 or something in total. There's one right there that I pressed in the previous one. And then you need to restart the game. And then you press another one. Then you restart the game again. Then you need to do that 5 times. And then you get a like secret ending. Which is a button heaven, I believe. But this one's the first one. This one right here. That I pressed in the previous one. Then there's another one in the boss's office. Not in the desk but in front of the boss's office. There's one there, and the final one is in the is in your own office, but I don't know where the other ones are. Where are we going? Am I gonna do? Let's do the what's it called? The museum ending without the bucket, because I already did it with the bucket
Stanley
once.
came to a set of 2 open doors. He entered the door on his left.
This way I can also check the boss's office computer to see whether that is the
Yet
correct
there was
one or
not a
not.
single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
Hey, broom closet.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Oh, I have to do it again for him to lock up the broom closet. Okay, I'll cut that out
I'll
then.
just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Alright, no, okay, that's not the second one. Oh hey, we can go here again. Business strategy, shooting a fucking panda. Let's take the elevator. Nothing happens here, by the way, it's just... Stanley! Yeah, and then we're just right back here. Alright.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of
2845, right?
Shocked, Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Calming New Age music.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Completely dark, there we go. Okay, so where is the other computer then for the inputs
Descending
of the
deeper
code?
into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Yeah, I can again go back up, but I'll do that in the next play. First I'm just going to
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
I just want to go to the museum.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
And this would be pretty scary in VR, I would imagine.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
The Stanley Parable.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
I do like the sort of like meta commentary here, where they're like just you know, if he threatens you with dying, it doesn't matter because it's a video game, so you know. Office layout. This blueprint shows the office from the beginning of the game. The path from Stanley's office to the 2 doors was the first part of the game that was built. Sections have been added and altered throughout development, though the core layout remains almost identical to the first iteration. So you see, it's like a museum of the development of the Stanley Parable. You see, here's my office, or Stanley's office, and then here's the first part, and that's where I just jump through the window into the void. And then the bucket is right there. And that's the door where the new content is. And here are the 2 doors. The 2 doors. The set of 2 open doors was the very first concrete piece of the Stanley Parable's design. Once this room was created, the rest of the game emerged as an extension of it. An exploration of the contradiction this room posed. Corridor. The pacing of this opening section was important to get right. This corridor has been moved and altered to make sure the player reaches the 2 doors in a good time. Here's Stanley's computer. Some paintings that we see throughout the office. Various walls, doors and floors of the office. Button sounds. A selection of the sounds used throughout the game when buttons are pressed. Each sound is a mix of a keyboard stroke and a synthesized noise. Tone. They do have some very satisfying noises in this game. Office computers. Here are the credits. And the impeccable Kevan Brighting as the narrator. Original music. Music is very good in this game as well. Alright, so let's see whether they have actually any new stuff in the museum or not. Boss's office. Screams of the development of the boss's office. There's the very first part where it mostly is just developer textures. Then that's the, oh yeah, this is the first. Then this one with some more stuff around it, and then this is the final version. Office clock. The employee lounge. Underground. An early version of the underground portion of the game. And there's the escape thing in the mind control facility. Narration outtakes. Kevan Brighting, the voice of the narrator, recorded dialogue for the entire game roughly 3 separate times over the 2 years of development. These are clips from early takes that were not used in the final game.
Now look closely, Stanley. See how it's impossible for the player to do anything in this room? Perfect example of poor level design. Textbook mistake. It's the kind of thing you'd pick up on intuitively if you had even the most fundamental understanding of good and bad game design. But of course, you being you, you'll probably spend the next hour trying to solve it. Here, I'm just going to make this easy on you.
Yeah, but yeah, that guy has recorded I don't know how many lines, because for the original and now also again for all the dialogue with the bucket and stuff. Freedom ending. This was the very first incarnation of the freedom ending in the game's alpha. Countdown desk. One of the desks from an early version of the countdown ending. Freedom ending. Oh yeah, there. This is the freedom ending as it existed in beta. Monitor room elevator. For a time, the elevator in the monitor room could go up or down, with freedom above and countdown below. We abandoned this when players found it too difficult to remember what was up and what was down, and placed the two endings together instead. Early version of the countdown room, yeah, for the bad ending. Escape menu. For a long time we had an ending that only ended when the player restarted the escape menu. From the escape menu. Unfortunately, very few players realized this was what they were supposed to do, which was frustrating for everyone. Zending model. The Zending went through many iterations. This room represents the 4th version of the ending. And we thought it was complete, but decided to abandon and change it again shortly before launch. The Zending. This screenshot depicts an early version of the ending known as the Zending, which was eventually cut and merged with another part of the game. Yeah, looks a bit like Portal. Zending levers. These levers were originally part of the Zending. The player would pull a lever and the narrator would describe what color they had pulled. So, this lever is distinctly purple. The cargo lift. The cargo lift was always intended to offer the choice of staying on or jumping to a different path. However, after this early version we decided we also wanted the option of the player falling to their death. Oh, there it's just to go up or down, and then if you go all the way up you can go where the story wants you to go, or you can drop on that catwalk, but they changed it into an actual moving cargo lift. Oh, like this for example. The second version is functionally the same as what's in the final game, but we wanted it to look more like a place where cargo was actually stored. Yeah, that doesn't really look like a proper cargo lift. The apartment timer. In a previous version of the choice leading to the apartment ending, a timer would give you 15 seconds to pick up the phone. Not picking up the phone would lead to a different ending. No, but they changed it into that you can unplug the phone instead. I haven't even done that apartment ending without the bucket. Office. Early version of the employee lounge. Daddy needs a 3rd swimming pool. Ultra Deluxe announcement. Oh, you see, this is new. This wasn't here. In December 2018, we announced the Ultra Deluxe version of the Stanley Parable at the Game Awards. These are screenshots of the videos we made for the announcement and the game's delay. Yeah, this is the announcement. This was the announcement video where the narrator says like, "Oh yeah, let's make the game again because," and then he says, everyone will buy it again because they're suckers." And then all that, the entire room starts to fill in with money, and then Stanley starts to drown, and then you hear the narrator, "Come on, Stanley, Daddy needs a 3rd swimming pool," and then cut to black, and then Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Oh yeah, and then there was also a video where they talked about the delay, and then there's like, how do you make a game? You lie. You blatantly lie about the time you bring it out, or something like that. Alien base, awesome. Warzone. Early in development, we designed an ending where Stanley would end up on the battlefield fighting aliens. The action game would become sentient and would wage war against the narrator. We realized shortly after starting to build it that it was far too jokey and on the nose for the tone of the game. Plus, some people interpreted it as making fun of people who like shooters, which was not our intention. Early version of the maintenance room. More things from the office. Now we're back here. Alright. Yeah, there's the exit, but there's some other parts that we haven't seen yet. Game design mockup. This is the level that William, the level designer, sent Davey, the writer, as a kind of audition piece. The strength of this level got William hired to design the full game. though much of the environment has changed. The basic layout from this mock-up is still in the game. Yeah. That's actually pretty cool, just to send that off, like, as your, what do you call it, as your, like, resume, essentially. Stanley's office. From left to right, the evolution of Stanley's office over time. The first was created in November 2011, the second in March 2012, and the third in February 2013. There's the first, very basic, then here it's a bit bigger, and then this is the final, roughly the final, pretty much the final version. Big desk, one computer, obviously employee 427. Narrator emails. After the second trailer we asked people to email the narrator for questions. While we had initially planned to use these for further promotional materials, we never found the perfect use for them. Here are a selection of those emails. What do the lights in the control room do? I really want to know. Montgomery Jones. Montgomery Gator from Five Nights at Freddy's. Partner, I am Anthony Elias, business broker. Please partner with me in a very rewarding business venture. Details will be sent to you if you are interested. Hi, Mr. Narrator Guy. I have a question for you, sir, and it is, what is your message for today? Sincerely, Harris. There's a skeleton inside of you. There are more skeletons in this world than humans. Thanks and goodbye. A question brought forth by the intense passion of my soul. Am I Stanley? Are you spying on me? Will the game feature capybaras? What the hell? That's an oddly specific question. Dear narrator, how do you stay in shape? Sincerely, Michael the Rock Martin. Pixel Sith. Are you gay? Hey, you just skipped over the other one. I wanted to read that. Well, you can pause the video and read it. Dear narrator, I appreciate the previous Stanley game. It's a work of art and standalone title. I appreciate the credit given to art, which is why I am eager to see sequel, prequel, standalone companion. Hey! Have infinite quests. How many endings? If the Stanley Parable is really going to let me go shopping, I hope it will have a fine selection of desert boots. I like a JRPG. How do you make the worst game ever? What's the difference between a duck? Between a duck and? How is the game going? I hope it's as good or better than the first one. From a cool man. How is the games? Are you a rock? Alright. I guess that's everything. Because that's the war zone, that's that, and that will go back to the beginning again. Okay, so there's only a little bit new, that also Deluxe thing instead of the original trailer. Because in the old game, the original trailer pictures were there, but now they use the Ultra Deluxe pictures there.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another?
Mm-hmm.
No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
No, Stanley maybe, but I can see it.
But listen to me. You can still save those two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Yeah, and in the Butcket one, she urges you to let Stanley die and not quit out the game. But here she urges you to do actually quit out the game and don't die. Because, you know, that's your only true choice. Because essentially... the game is about choice, but you can't technically choose anything. I mean, you can choose in which order you complete the game, but you can't truly choose anything because everything, like she said, is already planned out in advance. So, you know, I can't technically choose. I can choose in which order I play the game that they laid out for me, but I can't truly like explore everything.